And we are live. I'm going to do the intro. Welcome to the Keep the Faith podcast. I am your host, Tori, and with me, I have the one and only Mr. Les Echols here with me today. How are you today, Les?
Great. How are you this evening?
I am wonderful. And of course, we're going to be touching on some various topics today. We're going to be talking about Juneteenth. Father's Day weekend is coming up. So we're going to be talking about some things. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to try to share this to my personal page. So y'all bear with me just a second. I'm going to share this to my personal page. Hopefully I'm doing this right. I'm not sure. Did it share to my personal page? Check it for me, Jamil. But anyway, we're going to get started. And of course, we want to touch bases on Juneteenth. And I got to shout out to 360 Real Talk. They did an awesome podcast on Juneteenth because so many people are not aware of Juneteenth. Juneteenth is something that we're not taught about in school. And to be honest with you, I did not learn about Juneteenth until I became an adult and started working in radio. That's when I learned of Juneteenth. So Les, I'm going to ask you this question. First of all, before we get into the topic at hand, tell us a little bit about Les Echols. It's as if no one knows who you are already because you wear so many hats.
Stop it. Don't make my head any bigger. About my 9 to 5 is I'm Director of Community and Minority Enterprise for the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce, which means I'm responsible for relations, community relations, like this show and getting out in the community, as well as programs and events that boost the community, diversity and inclusion initiatives, and anything community related, festivals, etc. And I'm also responsible for being the liaison between business world, the community, and government. So I get to wear a lot of hats. I get to play in a lot of cookie jars. I love that. But I also sit on numerous boards and as well as co-founded and sit on the board of Mingle of the PD. So
okay. Now tell us a little bit about the Chamber and Mingle of the PD for those that may not know.
Well, chambers, of course, chambers are member service organizations, which means businesses join chambers, individuals join chambers with the objective of getting a service out of it. The service they get out of the chamber is business events, business programs that help them boost their business, help them go out and network to the community and meet different people, meet and greet different people. So that's the chamber in a nutshell. When I came onto the chamber, they told me that I was an agent of change. That was the purpose of bringing me into the chamber, and to kind of expand their horizons, kind of create new innovative programs and events that they'd never done before, and therefore bring a new audience, bring different people that have never really followed the chamber or knew what the chamber did before. So that's kind of my role with the chamber. Mingle of the PD is something a few of us, there were 4 of us actually, we call ourselves the Mingle 4. Myself, Nicole Echols, Linward Edwards, and Katrina Garnes. We started an organization back in 2014. And to be quite frank, we attend a lot of networking events. We attend a lot of things and gigs, and we didn't see a lot of people. A lot of times we didn't see a lot of people that look like us. Mm-hmm. And so the objective was to start it. So we went out and created Mingle of the PD, minorities involved in networking, growth, leadership, and empowerment. And we started off very strong. We started off with we would do an event a month at a minority business. Mm-hmm. And we rolled that out for like 2 years. And then eventually we burned out a little bit because mm-hmm. it was just 4 of us. Yeah. So we began to grow the board. We became a legit 501c3. And that opened the door for grants and other program initiatives that we want to roll out. So we don't do the social events as much, but mm-hmm. we're a little more well-rounded of an organization because, like I said, we do have a civic component where we do Deck the Dorm, which we help college freshmen going into with their dorm supplies. We also have a tutoring program, which we tutor youth. Mm-hmm. And so that's a new program we just rolled out this past year. We got a grant from Duke Energy which is going to help us in that. And we got numerous supporters. Assurant is one of our supporters for our Deck the Dorm program. So we got numerous community supporters, corporate support. So we're mainstream, I guess, so to speak now. So
that's good.
And so the chamber, conversely, the chamber supports a lot of what I do, with the realization that a lot of things I do aren't chamber programs or events, but they support the initiatives with the, with the point that I'm the ambassador, or I'm, a good steward for the chamber time and effort. So
okay. Now we're going to talk about Juneteenth. Of course, we got Juneteenth coming up this weekend, and we got Father's Day weekend, but we're going to touch on Juneteenth first. Now, for those of us, like I said, I did not learn of Juneteenth until I became an adult. What exactly, well, let me ask you this. When did you learn of Juneteenth? Did you learn about Juneteenth as a child?
I had the fortunate, I was very fortunate with Black history in that when I was 5 years old, my parents gave me a Black history book and told me, they didn't give me any direction. They gave me a Black history book and said, okay, read that. Just look through it, whatever. And so throughout the years, I, read and looked through. And then as I grew, I read and looked through and wanted to learn more and more and more. So I learned, stuff relatively early, although I didn't know the intricate logistics of it. Right. But I learned a lot of Black history relatively early. I knew of it, didn't know exactly what it was or what it stood for. Yes. So I didn't know of it, growing up. But as an adult is when I really said, okay, this is a big deal. So so that's when I really kind of embraced it and began to move forward with it. And I also went to an HBCU. Okay. A historically Black college. So so that also kind of instilled those, anything that's historically Black there, that's going to be instilled. So
okay. And what exactly does Juneteenth mean to you?
Juneteenth means to me, it's a celebration of freedom. And that freedom's going to come regardless, because they tried to hold us back, right? They tried to keep us in slavery. There were still 250,000 slaves in Texas when they announced, when they came down to Galveston and announced it. So so it means freedom. That freedom's going to come, and regardless of how much and how hard you try to hold people back, that they're going to eventually fight and they're going to eventually be free. So that's what it means to me, is that freedom will come in spite of.
And if I did my history correctly, did it take 2 years for some slaves to realize that they were free? That it wasn't until 2 years later. Correct. It was written into the Emancipation, and it wasn't 2 years later that some slaves did not even know that they were free.
Correct. It was a little over 2 years, actually. The Emancipation went into effect January 1st, 1863, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Hold on. I did my research. Let me see. I think it's 1863.
And it was actually 1862, but it went into effect January 1st, 1863. Yeah. And by 1865, you still had 250,000 slaves sitting in Texas, wondering what's going on. And then they got the news. So
okay, you reading everything out of print out.
And so of course
you own it.
So of course we unfortunately we go from there to a false sense of freedom, into Jim Crow and etc. But the fact of the matter is the freedom was there, and it came, and regardless of everything you tried to do to really hold it back, it came at the end of the day. So, and
also, what is because a lot of people, I definitely want to know your take on this. A lot of people make the comparison of Juneteenth and July 4th. How do you compare the two?
I guess I bring up Frederick Douglass when saying that, because Frederick Douglass said, "What is the 4th of July to a slave?" And so I would say that Juneteenth is our 4th of July. Juneteenth is our celebration of freedom. And I don't want to take anything away from the 4th of July. But the fact of the matter is, at that point in 1776, there was no celebration for my ancestors. And so I look at Juneteenth more of that celebration. Do my children go out and look at fireworks on July 4th? Of course. Do they wear red, white, and blue? Of course. And, we're American born, American bred. We have the rights and as citizens of the United States. And we have that right. We reserve that right. But at the same time, realizing that Juneteenth is actually, when we were free. That's when we were free. That's when we celebrate the same way. And it's if you ever read the Frederick Douglass piece, "What is the 4th of July to a Slave?" I mean, the hypocrisy, how he lays out the hypocrisy of us trying to get freedom and then at the same time having slaves. It was it's the hypocrisy kind of speaks to me, kind of speaks to my spirit. And so that's one of the reasons why I really look at Juneteenth as a celebration of freedom, and not to take away from July 4th, not to take away from that Independence Day, but definitely definitely a step in a different direction, but at the same time a celebration of freedom for us.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, we have a big Juneteenth celebration coming up this weekend. Tell everybody about the Juneteenth celebration. It's going to be at Culture this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be at Culture. Culture is located at 3027C East Palmetto Street. It's going to start at 3 p.m. We got a lot of big names. We got Voodoo Child out there. He's going to be on the ones and twos. We're going to have Miss Tanya the poet. For those who know of her, she's going to have some other poets out there with her, and we got the Saxy Keys band are going to be in the house.
Wow!
So we got a good lineup. We got some other acts that are going to be released later on in the week. Okay. We got it's going to be a lot of vendors out there. There's going to be food, drinks, just a fun time, and this is the first time we're doing this with Culture. Okay. So we really want it to be a good time, and really wanted to kind of expound on this next year. But we're really looking forward to it. Culture, Ms. Consuela at Culture has really went out of her way to make sure it's a successful event. Mingle of the PD jumped on board and said, hey, we want to partner with you. And she said, hey, yeah, come on. And so we kind of built it from there, and we're looking forward to it. And to be honest with you now, we're talking about Juneteenth. I've been wanting to do a Juneteenth program for years. I know Florence used to do one years ago. I think the late Ed Robinson had kind of cultivated one, as well as I think Uncle Buddha did one a few years back. But I've been wanting to do one and we did something at Jazz on Dargan a few years ago. But I've been kind of wanting to do something bigger, and kind of tack on with someone else to not reinvent the wheel. Yeah. And so this was that opportunity to kind of create that space.
Okay. Sounds good. Now, the other thing that I want to touch bases on is, of course, it's Father's Day weekend. Now, here is my thing. I am a single mom, and I am an advocate of when it's Father's Day weekend, I want to celebrate the fathers. Now, what is your take on the single mothers? Like I said, I know I may ruffle some feathers, with what I'm about to say, but I'm a single parent. But when Sunday comes, it's for the dads. Right. I'm not going to say I'm the dad as well. I can never be a father. So what is your take on when you see these posts and things of that nature where they said, tell them Happy Father's Day? I don't agree with that at all. I feel as though, there are some fathers that may not be doing what they're supposed to, but at the same time, there are fathers that are doing their job. So right. I feel like that is a day set aside to those fathers that are doing what they're supposed to do. So there are some that's going to you're going to see these posts. You're going to see, and I know I'm going to make some people mad, but you know what? I don't really care. But, I'm a single parent, but I'm never going to say that I'm my son's father as well. I'm his mom. I'm always going to be there, but I would never say to him that I am his father. I take nothing away from his father. I salute his father. Whether he's in his life actively or not, he's still his father. He's still planted the seed. He's the reason why my son is here. So what is your take on when you see those posts, when you see those single moms and they're saying, it's my day as well? I mean, we had a whole day. Mother's Day is celebrated actually starting in January. When they start saying something about Father's Day, it's beginning of June? And Father's Day is in June, right?
Yes.
And we're prepared for Mother's Day, 3-4 months in advance? I'm just saying.
My stance on that has kind of mellowed in the past few years. But let me start by saying two things. First of all, when it's Cinco de Mayo, we don't wear green to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. When it's Christmas, we don't walk around in turkey suits to celebrate Thanksgiving. So when it's Mother's Day, we celebrate mothers, period. I mean, regardless if we celebrate mothers. That's what it's about. So Father's Day, it's celebrate the fathers. It's not rocket science. It's not anything that we should have to go around about. Let's celebrate. Let's give them one day. Men don't get many days. Let's be honest about it. Men don't get many days. We don't get Valentine's Day. We don't get a lot of days. So Father's Day, and also I think people sometimes equate being a single parent with being with assuming the father isn't there. And so I think that's something else that we do as people that we have to get away from, because we assume, I'm a single parent, so that means the father's not there, which is not always the case. But I just think that fathers, just give the fathers a day. If they're, if they're not there or not present, then so be it. But don't ruin it for everyone else.
Absolutely.
You know, if it's like I said, if it's Thanksgiving, don't bring Santa Claus out yet and ruin it for the turkey. Let the turkey have his day. Let him gobble a little bit.
Right.
So let that's my stance. Let men have their day. Let fathers have their day. Mother's Day, let mothers have that. I mean, I'm not gonna go on Facebook and say, shouts out to all the mothers and all the single dads holding it down. I'm not doing that. So, although I did it out of sarcasm, I do it out of sarcasm sometimes. But like I said, I mellowed on kind of being open with those kind of stances. But yeah, let the fathers have their day. It's Father's Day. Let them enjoy it. Just let them enjoy.
Absolutely. And then coming up this Thursday, you got make sure I say it right. Mingle the PD.
Yes.
Has an event coming up at Showtime. That's this Thursday, correct?
That is correct. We're going to do a back to business networking event with the understanding that so many people have been, we've been on lockdown and we've had so many COVID restrictions. So this is Mingle's first in-person event, probably in over a year. So we're going to be at Showtime Event Center, which is at 1210 West Evans Street in Florence. And so Uncle Buddha, again, local radio host, radio celebrity decided to host us. We're going to have networking. We're going to have vendors there as well.
Okay.
So it's going to be a good time, just an opportunity to network, come out, enjoy, mingle with the PD. We're starting at 5:30. We're going to go till about 7:30. So just a casual after hours networking event. People are going to ask, what's the dress code? Whatever you want to work, just wear it there and come on out and enjoy, bring some business cards and just enjoy a good time. We'll, wear masks and social distance as needed. But again, back to business networking event. That's going to be Thursday, June 17th, 5:30 to 7:30 at Showtime Event Center.
Okay. And also I told you that, I was going to throw a loop in, because we touched on Juneteenth. We touched on Mingle the PD. The events is going on. We touched on the event at Culture this weekend. So here's my thing. I'm throwing a wrench in the, I'm going to throw a wrench out. So like I said, I know you're going to expound on this. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this is totally on a different direction. But what do you say? Because I actually had a friend of mine say to me the other day that there are no good men out there.
Uh-oh.
Like we have the women that are very educated, they're working, they have their own job. I'm throwing this out there. Now, let me say this. This is a disclaimer. Les is speaking from his perspective. He's not speaking for all men. So let me just put that out there. He's speaking from his perspective. I'm going to ask him the question. He's coming from his perspective. He's not speaking for all men. But I had a friend of mine that say that they're basically in a nutshell, that we don't need men. Now, me personally, I will never, ever in my life say that I would never say that. I would love to have a companion, but I want the right one. I will never make the statement of that I don't need a man. So what do you say those women that are very independent and feel as if men are not needed at all? And then let me also say this. Now, there are some women, such as myself, that have dealt with different traumas in life. And we felt like, I know I don't anymore, but I have also felt like men have failed me because of different traumas. But like I said, I'm in the process of healing and I'm no longer thinking that way. So what do you say to those independent women that feel as if they don't need men, and to women such as myself that experience trauma where you have been hurt, where I've been hurt back to back in different situations by men, and I felt as if there was no hope in men. I gave up on men. Like I felt like I'm just going to be, just help people, and just, sometimes and let me also say this: I love the relationship that you and Nicole have. You guys make me believe in love, because there was a time I didn't have any hope. So I know I'm throwing a lot at you at one time. So let me just be quiet.
Well, first of all, independent women continue to be independent, continue to be strong, continue to take care of yourselves and your children, and etc. And with people who've been going through trauma, that's understood. Mm-hmm. That's understood. You've gone through trauma. I mean, if somebody was robbed or somebody went through any type of trauma, they're going to be apprehensive about the situation. But we're keeping in mind that also what's the ratio of women to men? I don't even have that data handy, but with the understanding that you may you may run into some bumps in the road when it comes to men. And conversely, men the same. But with women so much outnumbering men, particularly when we're talking about in the Black community, specifically, it's one of those situations where I almost hate to say it, you kind of are in a situation where it's a lot of times it's the luck of the draw. You might get someone and you think they're great in the beginning, and it might not be that great. You may get someone and they're they not so great, and they'll turn everything around, turn their life around, find Christ, etc. So whatever it is, but there's no I can't give a concrete answer to that. The only thing I could say is continue to be independent, but don't say, oh, that all men are this or all men are that, because that's just not true. Welcome to debate me on that aspect of it. But it's just not true that all men are this or all men are that. I'm sorry, if you had several bad situations. I'm sorry for you, Tori, that you had those situations. I wish it wouldn't have happened to you. But don't say, oh, I'm gonna let down. If you lose a job, say, I'm done with jobs. I'm not working anymore.
Right.
If you fall down, you're not gonna say, I'm done with walking. Right. I'm not gonna get up and walk anymore. Forget that. I'm just a bad TV show. I'm not watching TV anymore. Right. So life is about you keep moving. I always use my best example of life. I always use is bereavement. Somebody your dad dies, you get 3 days. So on paper you get 3 days off. That's it. Right. And so it's like kind of like 3 days get back to life. So that's kind of always my analogy for life, is that you got to keep moving, and it might not be great, and it might not, and it's gonna scar you. If you fall on, you're gonna get scarred a couple of times, but you got to keep moving, and those scars are gonna hurt, and you got to get the bandages that you need for those scars. because you're not always gonna be able to solve the scars. You're not gonna be able to take it from the inside out, but sometimes you can put bandages on those scars, and just to get you moving, just to get you padded up to get to that next hurdle. And sometimes you get to that next hurdle, you might fall again, but then guess what? You got to get back up. You can't just stop. Like I said, you can't just say, oh, I'm not going to work anymore. I'm tired of that.
Right.
You gotta go. You gotta do it. You gotta hustle. So it's kind of one of those things where I hate that women, so many women, particularly when you're talking about a small community of Black women, have gone through so much. But and men, we can do better as a whole. We can do better. Let's just be frank.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest about it. We can do better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not just, oh, all men are this and all men do this. We got to stop dismissing, oh, all men do this, or all men are like that. We got to stay away from that mentality. And if it behooves you to not, deal with a man for X amount of time or for X amount of, so be it. But don't dismiss it as, oh, I'm doing this because all men are blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You have to do it because it's what makes you better.
Right.
What if it's going to make you a better person to not deal, then don't deal. But if you're just doing it just to prove a point, or just to say, I'm independent woman, I'm strong. And, there's a lot of strong men.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strong independent men, and they're making it happen too. So,
Right.
To say, oh, I'm a strong independent woman. Okay, great. But, you got to keep moving, you got to keep going, you got to keep pushing along. So like I said, my analogy to that is, you got to 3 days, you got to keep it moving.
Okay.
And that's just, like I said, that's a very broad analogy, but at the end of the day, you got to get back up. You got to keep moving. And if sometimes you got to put shoulder pads on, sometimes you put a helmet on,
right.
But you got to get through that next battle. You got to get through that next fight. And, if you need support, and one thing we don't do, we do not get help. We don't talk to anybody as a community. We do not talk to anyone as a community. We might talk to our pastor. We might talk to our pastor and first lady. But other than that, we do not go to counseling. We do not get help.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the things is that, when I talk to my white counterparts, they all went to counseling. They all have their meds. They're all, and that's not to compare the two, but we don't get help. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't get the help that we need in order to heal ourselves. And we think we're supposed to automatically just wake up. I'm going to power through this. No, you're not going to do it.
Right.
Sometimes you can't do it on your own. You have to get help.
Yeah.
You have to talk to somebody. And, if you talk to somebody who's just as upset with you about with men as you are, that might backfire. So you might want to talk to somebody else who's either qualified to counsel you or who's not going through that or hasn't been through that.
Absolutely.
Or sometimes it's a good thing to talk. I mean, and those who have parents and aunts and uncles alive, talk to them, see what they went through. Because a lot of times I found that when daughters talk to their mothers, a lot of times the mom went through the same thing, but didn't say anything because it was back in the, in the day when everything was good and we're supposed to just act like we're not supposed to get divorced and all that. Because people think, oh, everything was better back in the day, but not necessarily. I think, I think a lot of things were let go back in the day, but I don't think I can't say it was any better or worse. But I think that we have to get to a point to where we start healing and see someone and talk to someone that can help us to heal instead of dismissing the people who might be of some help. Maybe if you meet this guy and he's a jerk, he might turn out to be a good guy. Maybe if you meet this female and she's not so great, she might turn out to be a great female, but you got to really, and don't throw yourself into it. And I think that we make a mistake with that. We throw ourselves into these relationships. We don't date. We don't date.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying, Tor? We don't date. We find someone and we're automatically connected to them. We're automatically going exclusively. People dating is about, you go out to dinner. You may go out to dinner with this gentleman one week. You may go out to dinner with that gentleman next week, but you're dating. You're not sleeping with anyone. You're not having a relationship. You're dating. You're just finding yourself. Okay, let's go on a date. Let's go to the movies. That doesn't have to end in some type of encounter. You're just going to see a movie. And so I think we don't date anymore. We don't court, as the old people used to say. We don't. We just we find someone and that's my exclusive boyfriend or girlfriend, and that's it. We're off to the sunset. So we don't date. So we don't actually find the person. We just kind of just jump in and say, okay, I'm exclusive with this person. That's it. We're moving on. And then 6 months later, it's a problem.
Right.
So, so just wanted to, I'm sorry to ramble on this.
You're good.
That's one of the things that we just, we kind of jump in stuff. And once you jump in, once feelings get involved, it's not, people say, oh, you get out of that. It's not that easy to jump out. Once feelings get involved and you care for this person, you love this person to any extent, you're not going to just, oh, I'm going to jump back out of this relationship. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not that simple. So we have to be more mindful of when we're getting into and what we're getting into and who we're getting into with, and also be mindful of their surroundings, be mindful of who they're dealing with. Because sometimes they might be a great person or seem like a great person. And then you see the people they're hanging around and you say, well, wait a minute now. If he's with this group and they're doing this and he's not, or she's not. So then you kind of, and I'm not to say you should lump them into that category, but then you have to say, okay, well, what is he doing if he's with them?
Right.
Is he just, on the side? Is he not doing what they're doing? So we have to really evaluate the people we're dealing with, the people we're, getting into bed with, literally.
Yeah.
We have to evaluate it before we take that step. And then we won't end up 2 years later saying, oh, I regret this whole thing. And I regret having this child and blah, blah, blah. And we won't get to that point. So, so that's kind of my extended stance.
Yeah. And you made a very great point in regards to therapy, because of course, in the Black community, a lot of times, and I'm big on prayer because I'm a spiritual person. Absolutely. and I believe in prayer, but sometimes we need more than prayer. Yes. We do need therapy. And a lot of people in the Black community feel as if that therapy is not necessary. They feel as if the different things that we go through, like we experience trauma, depression, all that stuff is real. You have to, I feel like it's necessary for us to get therapy.
Right.
Because I will admit, I sought therapy. I've been in therapy, and it took therapy to get to where I am as far as my healing process. Prayer just wasn't enough for me. Talking to people that may have experienced the things that you experience, sometimes it can be a good idea, and in some cases it's not, because some people will try to influence you to be bitter like them. And for me, I choose, instead of being bitter, I choose to be better. And I feel like, I have to surround myself with positive people at all times. So if I see that you're, a bitter person, I kind of sway to, a different direction. Now, how big are you on, because when we talked about relationships and stuff, like I said, I want to talk about various topics. How big is forgiveness with you? No matter what what may,
Ooh.
no matter what the issue may be, how huge is forgiveness for you? Because it's very important for me. What's your take on forgiveness?
Forgiveness is huge. If you don't forgive, you can't. It's impossible to move on. I mean, we can sit here and go back and forth. You can't move on unless you forgive, and you can't forgive from today. You got to forgive moving back.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's really hard to move forward if you don't forgive something. And we human beings are sensitive creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we might get sensitive or overbloated about something that's not that serious. And so, and forgiveness is something that we have to extend grace. We want grace. We want people to be, oh yeah, we want people to forgive us. So we have to be forgiving, or else it's difficult to. And I'm sure some people can do it. Some people may be able to not forgive and still move on. But in my heart of hearts, I have to forgive in order to move on from anything. I mean, if somebody stole from me or somebody hurt me, I have to forgive. And I think men and women have to learn how to forgive. And it's a situation where forgiving is not the answer, then you may need to get out of that situation. Right. If you can't forgive, you can't forget. I mean, you never forget, but if you can't forgive, the probability of moving on and ever having any trust again, I don't know how that happens. And somebody may prove me different, but I don't know how it happens if you don't forgive. It may not be the situation for you at that time. So, and sometimes people grow, and sometimes relationships, people grow and reunite later, when they're both grown.
Right.
So, I mean, if I knew 15 years ago what I know now, I probably would have did a lot of things different. If I knew 10 years ago what I know now, I would have did some things different. So I think a lot of times people just grow and develop and change. And sometimes you grow away from a person, and sometimes you grow closer to a person. And I think people, we're so anxious to say, oh, I want to find my husband, I want to find my wife, that we don't grow into anything. We don't grow into what we need to be in. We kind of jump into something that we may not need to be in. Right. Instead of taking time, let's grow. Let's be friends first. Oh, and then a lot of times some of the best relationships start, you're friends. Oh, and then you start kind of looking at the person like, oh, the person's attractive, blah, blah, blah. And then you kind of move further. But just gaining that knowledge of the person that you're dealing with, I think is the baseline of moving things forward.
And just like you said that you can forgive but not forget, a lot of times people make the mistake of thinking that because I forgive you, and this is just my take, just because I forgive you, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to reconnect or still have a relationship. I can forgive you, but this is just me. Maybe it's kind of harsh, but sometimes I can forgive you and never talk to you again. No. I wish you well, but that doesn't necessarily mean I need you back into my life. And see, a lot of us make that mistake. Well, I forgive them, and you want to give them a second chance, and you realize that some people did not change. You know what I mean? And so one of the other things that I wanted to touch bases on as well, like I was talking about with Father's Day coming up, I'm a single mom, and there are some parents that will talk negative about one parent, whether it be the father talking to their children or the vice versa. And I feel as though you have to allow your child to make, they're going to see what's what, especially when they get older. Right. They're going to see what's what. So, and I want to go back to that because Father's Day is coming up, and I salute the fathers. I'm so happy because there's so many amazing fathers that I know, such as yourself. I want to also go back to touching bases with when you're having the parents talk negatively about the other parents. What's your take on that? Of course, it's something that we don't do, but elaborate more of, where if you see someone that does that. Because I mean, I've even had different conversations with friends of mine, like, they're saying negative things about the other parent. And I'm telling them, don't do that. You can feel what you want to feel, but don't influence the child to, let them formulate their own opinion.
I've, and I'm going to say this, I've seen it, but I've never had those people in my circle that did that. And I know a lot of single dads, believe it or not. I know a lot of both single and divorced dads. So I've never had those people in my circle. I've seen it happen. I think it's bad. At the same time, I don't know what the situation was.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened really. I wouldn't definitely it's not something I would encourage. But at the same time, speaking from someone being ignorant, because you don't know what happens in people's houses.
Right.
You don't know what happens in people's lives because unless you're there.
Right.
So I wouldn't encourage it, but at the same time, there could be situations where I'm not gonna say it's justified because you don't. I think we use a convenient statement. If you think about it, we always say churn, you stay in churn place. That's what my grandma would say. Churn, stay in churn place.
Yes.
Right. We say that. We say that when we don't want them in our face. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we bring them into our personal business and our relationships. Why? Why do we do that then? Why is it okay to do that? Why is it okay to, if they're not supposed to be if they're supposed to stay in children's place, you're not supposed to tell them their dad's a bad person. You're not supposed to tell them their mom's a bad person or you don't need to be over there with their family or their family is this. So I think we got to get past that hypocritical stage of saying children need to stay in children's place. Because if they do need to stay in children's place, then you need to not involve them in that situation. So, I mean, and like I said, that's my stance. I don't know what happened in that household or this household, but I can say that, let them be kids. I guess that's in a nutshell. Let them be kids. Let them be kids. I'm sure my mom and dad went through a lot. Never saw it. And I'm sure that's not because nothing happened.
Right.
But I mean, it's because they didn't allow us to be in that space. Why would you allow us to be in that space? If you're arguing, why would you bring us into that space? That doesn't make sense. Right. Or if you even have a situation where you go take it a step further and, he's your daddy, just like your old daddy. And, that happens a lot. Right. That happens a lot from sports. I'm sitting there watching sports and I hear people telling you just like your old daddy. And so I just think that's disparaging to a child, man, because you get one or two things. He's either going to despise her for saying it or he's going to despise him for her saying it all the time. Right. So he's going to despise one of those parents for her continuously saying, don't be like your old daddy. Don't be like your old dad. Or he's going to despise both of them because he wasn't there. And then she always reminded him that he wasn't there. So he's like, forget both of y'all. So those kids usually grow up and go off to California or go off on another coast somewhere and don't deal with their parents at all in instances I've seen. Yeah. So let them be kids, let them grow up. Don't bring them into that situation, And I mean, sometimes things pop off and the kids are right there, but don't let it elevate to a level to where, you're demeaning or degrading or making this person seem like this or, that you just like, no, don't do that. I say outright, don't do that. Don't expose the kids to that. Let them be kids. Let them play. Go outside and play. Your mom and daddy talking. Right. Then you have your discussion. Right. But don't expose them to, tell them, you just like this, or you just like that, because that's going to confuse them. Mm-hmm. Right. Because, like, I'm just like my daddy. Is that good? Is that bad? What is that? So right. I'm just like my mom. Is that good? Is that bad? Do I need to not be like her? Now you conflicting this child to try to decide who he's going to be like, how he's going to act. So let them be a child and kind of let that come organically. In the meantime, you teach them right from wrong. You tell them you can only raise them now. You can raise them the best you can raise them. What they do from there is on them. Right. Right. So you can raise them till they're 18 and you can give them, the best in standards, the best values and take them to church or whatever your thing is. But after that, I mean, it kind of is what it is. If they turn 18, you want to tell them, look, at your daddy ain't nothing, you can tell them. So you feel like they can tell them that when they're 18? Yeah, I mean, I think when they're grown, you reserve the right to tell them, listen, this was this and this and this, and it might not, because you could confuse a child by having them resent someone. Mm-hmm. They could resent the wrong person. Right. In other words, if daddy leaves, they might resent mama for putting daddy out. Right. Instead of resenting daddy for what he did. Exactly. So you might go through life resenting mama. And then all of a sudden you 20 something years old, mama tell you, daddy was, papa was out there. That's why he had to leave. Right. And so just that realization, now you like, I've been resenting the wrong person. I've seen that happen. You resent the mother all these years, and then, you made daddy run away. No, daddy ran away with secretary. Yeah. So, it's just one of those things. Yeah.
And that was you when you were talking about that, you made me think of the movie. I think it was Love and Basketball.
Yes.
Remember that situation?
Mm-hmm.
And he stopped talking to his dad because he actually was following his father's footsteps.
Yes.
And when his dad did what he did, then he pretty much like his dad said, when your mom divorced me, you divorced me as well.
Yep.
That was what I was thinking about when you were saying that. And also, let's reiterate. I'm going to get Jamel to come on because we're going to about to wrap up. But reiterate what's going on with Mingle of the PD this Thursday, and also the time and location for the Juneteenth celebration coming up on Saturday.
Yes, Mingle of the PD is partnering with Showtime Event Center on Thursday, the 17th, from 5:30 to 7:30. We'll be out there just networking, bring a couple of business cards, come and network. Saturday, Mingle of the PD will partner with Culture, and we will be at 3027C East Palmetto Street starting at 3 p.m. and we'll be there for the Juneteenth Culture Fest. We'll have Saxy Keys Band, we'll have Miss Tanya the Poet, and we'll have Voodoo Child will be on the ones and twos, and we'll have some numerous other acts and entertainment. We want everyone to come out and enjoy themselves. We're gonna have food, drinks, etc. We want everyone to come out and enjoy the Culture Fest. It's a new and exciting festival. We're bringing to Florence. We want everyone to come out, and that's Saturday the 19th. So that's actually on Juneteenth. Okay. So we implore everyone to come on out and enjoy themselves.
Okay, and also I'm gonna have to move the camera. I think.
Right.
I forgot about that, Brian. My bad, Brian. So Jamel can be in the camera. And thank you, Les, for coming on. And of course, like I told you, since now you know where we are.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to have you back.
Absolutely.
Just put me on the camera. Put me on the calendar. And Jamel, big shouts out to 119 Media Group. He's the reason why I'm here. He keeps pushing me to greatness, to being better, to pushing myself. Because Les, I was one of those people that wasn't consistent with my podcast. Jamel has been pushing me. So salute to Jamel and 119 Media Group. And thank you so much for having us in the studio. And Jamel, what you got coming up in August, right?
August 28th. Okay. But Les, she was good though. You see how she was good. Yeah, and I'd like to thank you for coming on too. I always see you. And I think I put some messages in your inbox a couple of times.
Okay, yes, sir.
I said, man, this dude do everything.
I told you.
This dude do everything. Actually, you do everything I want to do. So,
matter of fact, when we get off the live, you might need to talk to Les about some things.
Man, I'm glad to meet you, and I'm glad that you came by. Absolutely, and you can come back anytime you want to.
Absolutely.
And we like to be a parts of the things that you do in Florence too.
Absolutely.
But I'm from Darlington, South Carolina, and August 28th at the Terrence Caraway Park in Darlington, we're gonna do just kind of like a back to school drive, also kind of like a community intervention, so the police and everything could come out there, so we could meet each other, try to gain another relationship, a better relationship. But my main thing is I want to try to make sure that every kid goes back to school with confidence that they got everything they need. Don't have to go down to school. Well, man, I can't get my school supplies till Friday. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to borrow some paper here or borrow some pencils there. But if it's up to us, well, I want to give away. My goal is to give away 500 book bag stuff. I'm gonna do my best to try to accomplish that, but just so kids can go back to school with confidence, because I think it's good to start the year off with confidence.
And you said it's August 28th. So those of you that may be business owners, if you'd like to make donations, be sponsors for the event, definitely contact Jamel. And Jamel, say your number. I don't know it by heart.
My number is 843-687-5055. If I don't answer at the time, just send me a text. I'll get right back to you. And anything you give from the heart, it'll help. But let's just try to make these kids go to school with confidence.
And also, if they choose to reach out to you on social media, you check your inboxes
every day.
Okay.
All the time on social media, Jamel Live on 119 Media Group, or if you got to get in Tori to get in touch with me, just give us a call. We love to work with everybody too.
And what is the email address?
Media Group 119@gmail.com.
Okay.
You can send us email there too.
Okay. All right. Well, that's August 28th.
August 28th.
And that's a Saturday.
That's
and
a Saturday.
What's the time? What's the time?
Well, we're gonna be out there we'll start at kind of like 8 or something. But people, you know how people come probably when the sun go down a little. But if you come at around 11 to 12, it'll be good because we have a platform, people out there talking and things like that.
Okay. And I'll have that day I will try to remind me so I can have my tripod set up.
Yeah.
We can have some live feeds going on so people, encourage people to come out. But once again, if you're a business owner or just, a person that just wants to donate and be a part of this event, this is a great event that, because there's so many kids that are less fortunate because, there were some kids that actually suffered because of the pandemic because like some kids needed to go to school just so they can eat.
Yeah.
That was some kids, unfortunately, I heard some stories that when they went through the pandemic, they were like, how are we going to eat?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was their way of, getting food, eating lunch at school. So I think that everything that you're doing, you and Les are doing some great things in the community. I can't see Les anymore, but Les, come over a little bit so I can see you as well. But Les, I like to commend you as well. You're doing a lot of great things. You've always been doing great things in the community from the beginning. Since I've been knowing you for years, you've always done great things in the community. So I want to commend both of you for doing things in the community.
You're good.
Okay. Okay. All right. I want to commend both of you. And also I want to tell both of you happy Father's Day. It's a little early, but the podcast is on a Monday and I'm not going to see y'all next weekend. So I'm telling y'all happy Father's Day.
Appreciate it.
You guys are two men that I know that are doing some phenomenal jobs with your children. So I want to salute you and give you your flowers while you're here instead of, give them to you now. So happy Father's Day to you both early.
Yeah. We want presents though.
Well,
Fathers too. We tired of getting socks and flowers.
Right. Listen,
we want the big. We want presents.
Y'all do know that. Y'all do know that. And I think it's Walmart or maybe the dollar store. They have like packs of Father's Day card. Bundle of them Father's Day card. They.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'm being funny, right?
Yeah, I got you. Matter of fact, I might get us some. We gonna split all of them. I'm gonna put my name in, your name over, like we got all these cards. But once again, man, thanks. Come back anytime. I'm glad I got a chance to meet you.
Yeah, Les is a good dude. And matter of fact, Les, I was before I actually started in the studio, me and Jamil was having a conversation. And I actually told him, remember we had a conversation? Mm-hmm. And you told him, you said, Jamil, that's a good dude. I told him what you said.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate that too.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man.
Because a lot of times people don't know the impact that they have. They really don't know. And sometimes people think, well, people don't notice, but it's good to hear it. Wow. So I'm glad that you guys connected today. Wow. But I told him, he was like, really?
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
But there's one more Echols we got to get on here too. Because she do some great things too. His wife.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nicole is the bomb too.
She does some good things too.
Yes,
she does.
Definitely have Nicole call me.
Yes, she does.
Because she, whoa, God, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Nicole, if you're watching, call us. We got to have you on. Matter of fact, Jamel, tell about all the podcasts you have going on.
Man, we have a strong lineup. I hope I don't forget any. Well, we have, as you know, we have Keep the Faith, which is a great podcast. I think this is the fourth episode, and all of them been good.
Thank you.
Then we have the Tangy Tea of Life with Veronica Samuels, and that's a great one too. Mm-hmm. Also, we have one called Fit for Your Health with Eric Linton, Tawana McCrae, and Renata Page. Also, we have a hip hop, but they talk old hip hop. It's called the Knights of the Rhyme Table. That comes on Wednesdays, and they just starting, so that's getting better and better every episode. And the other one we have is Real Talk 360. That's kind of my favorite because I'm on that one. We got a new nickname, the Community Coalition, and where we talk about, and I have one that not came yet. It's called Perseverance. So I'll probably get you back on that one. That's when I like to go one-on-one with people.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
But and it's all positive. It's all positive. It's all positive. And you'll see all of us out there August 28th, Darlington, South Carolina, Terrence Caraway Park. For the we don't have the title yet, but we helping kids out that day.
And you forgot one.
No, I ain't forget one.
William Robinson.
Oh, William, I am sorry. I am sorry. William Robinson.
People.
Great speaker.
Yes, minister.
I love listening to him.
Yes, he is.
My people's keeper.
Yes.
Keeper. I love it. I'm sorry, Will. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yes. No, charge it to your head, not why they said charge it to your heart, not your head.
Not your head.
Okay, yeah. Listen, I forgot when I was naming them one day, I think I forgot. Oh God, I forgot. But listen, like I said, I wish you both a happy Father's Day, and definitely, like you said, Jamil, we definitely got to get Nicole on. So let's make sure you relay that message.
I certainly will.
We got to get Nicole on because she is doing some phenomenal things. I mean, and I will say that since I've been knowing the two of you, you guys have been some great. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you as well. Like growing up, because you make a decision when we're growing up as children. We're constantly observing our parents and people around us. So obviously you had great examples because I mean, even before you opened your mouth to speak, I could tell just by your mannerisms that you were a good person. Oh, and then just everything that you do in the community just really confirmed what I already knew.
Thank you.
So you had that good foundation and obviously coming up.
Yeah, well, my mom, bless her, she'll be 89 next week, God willing.
Really?
No, actually, what's today? She'll be 89 in a couple of days. So I have to get a birthday celebration for her together. So yeah.
Well, happy birthday, Mama.
Yes.
So it's going to be what? And you said a couple of days, what, June
17th, June 17th.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's in
Thursday.
3 days.
Yes, that's in 3 days. So I'll get something together for her.
Wait a minute. You got to do something for Mom before you go to the event on Thursday.
Yeah, I got to do something. Got to do something for Mama now. Got to do something for Mama.
So happy birthday. Make sure you give your mama, say your mom's name. Give your mom a shout out.
Ethel Echols. Shout out, Mom. They call her in her community, they call her Curly.
Really?
She had curly hair growing up. So they call her, everybody calls her Curly still.
Okay. So. Well, happy birthday, Miss Echols. I hope you have a blessed birthday. And how old will she be?
89.
Oh, wow. What a blessing.
Boy, she got some stories.
Yes.
Every week.
Boy,
every day I talk to her. Yeah, she got stories.
I love being around. I love being around to hear the wisdom. I would love to be in your right. I like to meet your mom.
Yeah, she tells a lot of stories.
Bring on the show.
She tells a lot of stories.
I love to hear the wisdom. Yeah. But thank you once again, Les, for taking out time in your business. Because like I said, you wear a lot of hats.
Thank you for having me.
So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. And Jamel, of course, I salute you as well. 119 Media Group. And we're going to be talking about as the days get closer to you say you don't have a name yet. You're not saying the block party or?
No, not yet. I have a name this week.
Okay, cool. And that's coming up on August the 28th.
August 28th.
At Terrence Caraway Park.
In Darlington, South Carolina.
Our hometown.
Yeah.
D-Town. Well, thank you guys for watching the Keep the Faith podcast. If you would like to be a guest on the Keep the Faith podcast, you can contact me at 843-920-8124. That's 843-920-8124. And you can also email me at faithisnecessary@gmail.com. Now, if you missed the beginning of the podcast, hit that replay button and watch it from the beginning. This has been a great podcast. And that's once again, I salute to all the fathers everywhere. I salute you. Tori got your back. Tori got much love for you. So positive vibes over this way. And single mothers, let the fathers have their day. Okay. I had to say that, but single mothers, let the fathers have their day. Now understand, and I will say this, because like I said, I'm a single parent as well. Don't use that day as a day to bash your children's father. Do not do that. Even though things may not have gone the way you wanted them to, do not use that day as a day to bash them. Love on them no matter what. I teach my child forgiveness no matter what the situation may be. And as always, when I end the show, I always say, no matter what you may be going through, whatever obstacle you may encounter in life, always remember to keep the faith. And thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. And remember to keep the faith. Peace.